Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Dona Kappmeyer, and I'm the CEO and firm owner of ActionCOACH of Coastal Bend and Capital Game Plan Consulting in beautiful South Texas, and I will be your host for today. I am very excited to have our special guest, Aquila Mendez-Valdez, on our show. Aquila is a founder and CEO of Haute in Texas. Today, we're going to speak with Aquila about her journey to get to where she's at today and the challenges and successes of owning and operating a business. If this is your first time on our channel, please be sure to like and subscribe so you get notifications when we publish awesome new content. Well, Aquila, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much, Donna. I'm delighted to be here.
Well, fantastic. Well, let's get started. I'd like for you to go ahead and take a moment to share a little bit about your business and how your journey began.
Sure, yeah. So I moved to San Antonio about 15 years ago, and my husband's born and raised from here, but I kind of landed knowing nobody except for my now, in-laws and extended family. As part of that, right around that like 2010, 2011 timeframe, it was really kind of the golden age of blogging. And so I went ahead and started Haute in Texas originally as a blog. And I kind of developed my personal network through that, got to go to lots of fun events, meet fantastic people, and actually landed my first job through that, process. Worked for another agency for a few years. And about 2014 timeframe, I was pregnant with my second daughter and really kind of decided, okay, if I'm going to do this entrepreneur thing, if I really want to give this a go, I think now's the time. And so that's now been obviously over 10 years ago.
Wow.
But it's been really fun. I think I've been very fortunate to be able to grow slow, steady. You always want to see up and to the right when you're building your business. But for me, I think the path has just been perfectly arranged for me at each stage of life that I was going through, whether it was having young babies or now my girls are a little bit older and can hang out, while mom goes and does her thing. They can be a little bit more independent. So yeah, just very fortunate and very blessed for sure.
Well, fantastic. I love the way that you say it, right? It was arranged just for me the way it needed to be during that phase of my life. That was well said.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So let's talk about some of the things that people don't like to talk about, which is mistakes. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your biggest mistakes that you made along the way to get to where you're at, and what did you learn from them?
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, I think probably a common theme of times where I've looked back and thought, like, gosh, I wish I would have done that a little bit differently is almost when I held myself back by not being ready or feeling as if I'm not ready to take a bigger step. And so you kind of go
Mhm.
halfway on things sometimes. I'll give you an example of, building your team out and feeling like, okay, let me just start with just a couple freelancers for just a few hours and I'm just going to, make sure they're really, really inexpensive and, can fit within my budget that I can afford.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get caught up in, well, gosh, now the quality of the work is suffering. Now I don't feel like I have control over how my team is operating and things are happening. So I think lots of times throughout my career, when I have sort of played it a little bit safe, in
Yeah.
hindsight, I wish I would have gone ahead and really done things at maybe a little bit more of an aggressive, path or option, and just been brave enough to go that route first rather than kind of try the safe quote unquote route. And then you realize like, nope, I should have just gone bigger, gone home.
Love that. Love that. It's what most people do, right? I don't have the confidence, or what if I fail? What's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
it's a great lesson learned about, what if I just did a little bit more? What's the worst thing that can happen in that
Mm-hmm.
situation? So great advice.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you kind of end up seeing if you give, halfway effort, you get halfway results. And, the times where you do fully dive in and kind of immerse yourself in an opportunity or a new client opportunity experience, anything like that, the returns are always much, much better.
You bet. You bet. Well said.
Mhm.
So let's talk about the challenges that you face in your business today. What are some of the biggest challenges, either within your business or within your industry?
Yeah, well, certainly PR and marketing world has a lot of challenges right now. We talk about living in a post-truth economy where it doesn't necessarily matter what you tell people, even if it is true, they're gonna stick with their side of the, be it political aisle, be it, just philosophy and life in general. We're all, so stuck in our own echo chambers on social media that when we have clients where we're trying to share a story that might be a different perspective or might be a unique, way to view the world. Sometimes it's a very much uphill battle to convince people and sway their opinion. And really, public relations, that's what it's all about, is being able to tell a story well enough to change somebody's mind or at least get them to be willing to hear you out and incorporate what you're trying to convey. So I think the PR and marketing world certainly has a lot of challenges in that regard. And we could get into AI and all of that too. That could be a whole
Yeah.
other podcast in and of itself. But then I think in terms of our business, as an agency, we're 10 years old now. And so in some ways you feel like, all right, we know what we're doing. And then there's other days where you feel like, oh, we are still a very small fish in a very big pond. And I think our challenge is always going to be continuing to figure out how can we land clients that are at that next level, not just in terms of budget, but in terms of, size of the company, size of their team, the type of work that we can do for them. Is it just tactical stepping in to do their social media, or is it, now we want to be able to bring on, strategic planning type conversations, or, consulting from a really long-term relationship with a client. So we're always looking to figure out how do we put ourselves in the best possible position to land those types of contracts.
Okay.
Because you certainly don't want to get into a phase where it's just kind of burning through, clients and not retaining. And sometimes that can happen with some of the truly kind of small, business type clients.
Yeah, very, very good, right? 'Cause retention is the key. That
Hmm.
repeat business is the key. And so finding that niche and that target is critical for the future success of the business. Once you identify that, you know what you're looking for, and going after it and being hyper focused on that is going to yield the kind of results that you're looking for. But retention
Yeah.
is key for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So let's talk about 5 years out. Where do you see this business being in the next 5 years?
Hmm. Well, I think if COVID taught us anything, it's that you can plan all you want, but there will probably be lots of things that come our way that we just had no way to foresee. But, if we, wanted to say just, hey, let's manifest, let's have a game plan for where we want to be in 5 years, I would say, in 2020, 2021, we launched a franchise model to be able to build out additional agency locations where we can provide resources, structure, systems, processes, but we've got women who want to run their own agency with that local market expertise. And as you know, as a franchisee as well, our goal is that really empowers women who maybe would be a little bit reticent to go out on their own, but they feel like with us kind of backing them up, that they're ready for it. So 5 years from now, I would love for us to really have started to scale that. It's definitely been something that we have just been okay with having it as a long-term growth plan for the first few years here. But the more that we scale our, headquarters, quote unquote, team, and the more that I can kind of start to pull myself up to that level of being able to be more strategic with our growth overall between the franchise and the headquarters team, would be amazing to see that grow as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's awesome. Congratulations
Mhm.
for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely a whole other world, but one of the, most exciting things for us now is when we have clients who come to us who are either a franchisor or a franchisee, it's really helpful for us to have like actual direct experience with what that's like. And, what's helpful for a franchisee to receive from us is very different from what a franchisor wants to, have from us. And so we kind of understand both sides of that relationship. And again, are building it ourselves. So we get all the terms, we know all the, processes that go into putting together, this type of business model. And it's been a lot of fun.
Fantastic. So let's talk about influences in your life. When you think about success, who comes to mind for you and why?
Oh boy. It's funny. I I was just at, we were talking about before we started that I was just at a conference,
Mm-hmm.
and the last night they have a gala, and I was very, very fortunate to actually win an award at this conference. And my husband was very sweet
Mm-hmm.
to share kind of the video, and all of a sudden I see all these people commenting on Facebook, with very kind words. And part of what like really touched me was the fact that it was so many different people from different parts of my life, whether it was my childhood or college or now, living in San Antonio, or, just people we have met from all over, quite frankly, the world. We've been fortunate to travel and have different experiences where now seeing all of that kind of come together in one post was like, oh my gosh, like all of those people have had such an impact on my life and have been an influence, to your point. So certainly would not have enough time in the world to list, everybody, but I think for me it always comes back to my parents and the example that they gave me. My dad was a farmer, still is a farmer. And so, you want to talk about learning how to work hard and do whatever it takes. It's not a cushy corporate, sitting at a desk job. It is very much, out there day to day, getting it done. So that was a great example for me. But, my mom as well. I'm the oldest of six kids. And so she was running a
Wow.
company of her own, just keeping us all in line. And I always joke that, my mom had six kids and, stayed at home. I feel like I have two kids and four jobs. So it's like we all are staying busy in our own, in our own way. But, she was a Big Ten All-American volleyball player. She was,
Wow.
very, very successful in her own right. And so, yeah, I think that they really empowered me to feel as though, they had my back. They believed in me, and there was nothing that I couldn't do if I was willing to work hard enough.
Well, congratulations on your award and
Thank
congratulations
you.
on, it sounds like you've got an amazing family. And
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I grew up, there was five of us, and my parents, and if I were to say, not that this is about me at all, but I will say my parents were amazing, and the things that they
Mm,
went through and the sacrifices that they made to get us to where we're at today is just
yeah.
very blessed.
Yeah, yeah. I texted my parents. Like I said, I was in DC this past week, and part of the conference was to go and actually go to Capitol Hill and do some advocacy work. And I texted my parents and I said, I'm here, right at the Capitol building. Sent them a picture, and I said, I just realized too that you guys were willing to send me. There was a conference that I went to when I was in high school that was in DC, and they, I don't even know that we would have really had a ton of money at that time to send me to something like that.
Mhm.
But I texted them and I said, thank you for giving me that experience then, because that's what has led me now to feel like I can do the things that I do now. I was being told at, 16, 17 years old, go do it. Absolutely say yes to that opportunity. And so, oh no, I'm going to like tear up, but that was
Oh,
just a really cool, really cool full circle moment. And I just wanted to make sure I actually said thank you to them for that.
that's beautiful. I'm going to
Yeah.
tear up just by you saying that. Golly.
I didn't factor that into my
Uh,
makeup today. So
no emotions allowed. Come on.
yeah.
So let's
Hmm.
go back to your organization and what do you believe sets you apart, your organization apart from others that are in your industry?
Hmm. Well, I think, in general, we tend to hear, horror stories of, people coming to us and saying, "Well, I've tried hiring, agencies in the past and I had a horrible experience and here's what, I went through." And I think what we've learned is that a lot of times when you are scaling an agency, you get to a point where clients start to feel like they're just a number and they're just,
Hmm.
one of hundreds of people that you're trying to just, keep just happy enough to not leave rather than, can I actually deliver on what I say I'm going to do? Can I actually be somebody that they want to talk to? And they're excited when we have our weekly check-ins, or anytime we get to pop in and say hello, in their offices. So I'm extremely fortunate and blessed that we've got some great team members now that that's probably their greatest strength, that they just are super happy to work with our clients every day. They're, positive, they're engaging. And I can help them get better at all the other skills of the PR and the marketing and anything that we're doing for them from a tactical perspective. But it's very hard for me to be able to coach or get them to understand that other piece. So I feel very, very fortunate that I don't have to, and they just get it from a innate standpoint.
Gotcha. Wow, that's fantastic.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out how you're going to answer this question. I think it's relevant. Maybe it might not be relevant because you're a marketing agency, correct?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
What is your number one marketing strategy and that has brought you
Hmm.
the most business?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a great question, because we always say, for us, we feel like we say, like, we feel like we're the fiduciaries of the PR and marketing world, because if we
Mhm.
wouldn't do a tactic, if we wouldn't, do it for our own business, we don't want to just recommend it to yours and say, yeah, sure, put up a billboard, or yeah, sure, run some radio ads. Nothing against my media buying friends. I love you guys, but it's a different thing for most of our clients that we work with. So I would say for us, we're certainly, as a service-based business, highly, highly dependent on referrals and word of mouth and people saying our names in rooms that we're not in. But I also think, opportunities like this, where I get to be kind of out in the community and speak with people, whether it's leading a workshop or it's doing a podcast, or putting myself out there with the
Mhm.
intent of, not just having a fun, 30 minutes, although it's super fun, Donna. I'm super happy and excited to spend this time with you. But being intentional with, those opportunities to say yes when it makes sense for the company as a whole, and not just for me. So I think that's a role that I'm always, happy to play. Um, and then over the last, couple of years, I would say that we've really tried to get in more intentional about what's the content that we're putting out into the world. If we're, again, advising our clients to be active on social media, if we're advising them to be thought leaders in their own industry, how can we be doing that ourselves? And so I've been, very excited and happy to write, a few op-eds for some communications publications, and, add my, thoughts on different topics for some media opportunities. And I think that's always fun as well, to see how, even if it's not directly from an opportunity like that, but if we then share, hey, we were really excited to be able to participate in this article, or give a quote for this topic, how we then see that, kind of come back around to somebody saying, hey, I saw your article and I wanted to reach out about, by the way, we've been, needing to talk to an agency about this, project we're working on. So it's just playing the long game, I think, and not necessarily being just a cold call, yeah, a little bit more direct sales department.
Awesome. Now here's the old hindsight question. If you could do
Mm.
things all over again, if you had that crystal ball and could do it all over again, what would you do differently, or would you even do anything differently?
Hmm. Well, I think that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, the, not playing small, choosing to just really like go aggressive from day one. But what I will say is, when my company was small, my girls were small. Again, I kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier, but
Mhm.
um, if we would have scaled 0 to 100 on day one, I wouldn't have been able to be quite the present mom that I was with my daughters when they were really little. And so I definitely think that, everything that has come our way has been at the right time, at the right moment, when we were ready to take on that challenge. And so there's really not a lot that I would change. I would maybe advise another business owner, hey, this is what I would totally do now that you're in the thick of it. Let me give you
Mhm.
some, advice or some pointers. But for me, for my own journey, there's not too much I could complain about, really.
Fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience or would like them to know about you?
Well, I mean, I think, Donna, your line of work as a coach, I think sometimes you hear entrepreneurs that feel like, well, I'm going to, spend my budget here. I'm going to spend my budget here, but like, why do I need a coach? Why do I need to go, do that
Mhm.
kind of thing? And I would just say the times that I have invested in a coach and have had somebody, to push me and hold me accountable. I come from, a volleyball background, so I appreciate the impact that a coach can have on you. But I always see a return on that investment. I always push myself so much harder when somebody is saying, "Did you do that thing you said you would do?"
Mhm.
versus if it's just in my own head and I'm not bugging my team with it. I'm not telling them what my goals are or what I'm, wanting to shoot for. A lot of times it ends up not happening. So I think that what you do is so phenomenal for business owners because we need that support and we need somebody pushing us to be better, because it's a very tough journey without one.
I like to say thank you for that. And thank you
Mhm.
for the plug, even though that was not planned.
Yeah.
But it's a whole accountability thing, right? And having that
Mm.
person to put pressure on you. And when you try to do it on your own, I always like to say, with business owners, a lot of times it's lonely at the top, and they need
Mhm.
somebody by their side. And that's why
Yeah.
I love what I do and love to have the impact that I have because it's not easy. And why not have
Mhm.
somebody that you can lean on to help you through
Yep.
those tough times?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've been very fortunate to have some coaches, throughout the years that um gave me a totally different perspective if I would have just been in my own head trying to solve a problem, and to hear their side of it and how they saw that problem, it just blows your mind over and over again. So I can't, recommend making that investment enough.
Awesome. So how can our viewers and listeners get in contact with you or learn more about your business?
Sure. Yeah. So we are at hitpr.com. So HITPR.com. If you want to find us on social media, we are pretty much at Haute in Texas everywhere. So that's HAUTE, like haute couture fashion, IN, and then Texas spelled all the way out. But feel free to, I'm, pretty active on LinkedIn. I always love connecting with folks there. And I think LinkedIn's come a long way since back
Hmm.
in the day. So would love to connect and chat all things PR and marketing or business, entrepreneurship, all of the above.
Fantastic. So we'll end with, do you have any questions about me or about Action Coach?
Hmm. What would you say? Because again, I kind of shared I've had different ones throughout the years, but what would you say is the number one thing that makes Action Coach in particular unique?
You talked about having a framework as a franchise. We have an amazing framework. We have 3,500 systems and tools at our disposal that we can pull from. We are the largest business coaching firm in the world. We are in 84 countries. We have over 1,000 coaching offices. We coach 18,000 clients per week, but we are locally owned and operated. So the franchise owners live in the areas that we support. But we have the ability to tap into that worldwide network, which I really believe sets us apart. And I
Mm,
will also say the skill sets that even my individual franchise brings to the table with all I say the big corporate experience really
mhm,
is, adds even more value. So
mm.
great question.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Donna. I really enjoyed this.
You are very welcome. Well, Aquila, thank you for sharing your story. This has been fantastic, and I know that our audience will find this information very valuable. This is the Business Spotlight Series with Donna Kappmeyer from Action Coach at Coastal Bend and Aquila Mendez-Valdez from Oten, Texas. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you can continue to see our great content. Thank you for being with us today. And Aquila, thank you for being on the show.
All right, thank you.
Bye for now.